Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this lesson. The essential question for this lesson is, how do we change our reading style when reading different genres? And how can vocabulary be specific to a genre? By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the following terms that are related to graphic novels: captions, dialogue balloons, gutters, panels, sound effects, and thought balloons. And we're also going to think about how they affect the reader's experience. A question to start your lesson today is, what is the difference between a graphic novel and a prose novel? A graphic novel is generally told through pictures, and a prose novel is generally told through words. When reading a graphic novel, it's important to think about color, a character's facial expressions, the words an author uses, and the movement of a character. When reading a graphic novel, there are some basics that you'll need to know. Graphic novels use text and pictures to present information. Graphic novels use the same format as comic books, but they differ from comics in that they usually contain standalone stories with complex plots. There are parts of a graphic novel that you'll need to know as well. A graphic novel consists of a cover and inside pages. Inside a graphic novel page, there are some elements. Panels are squares or rectangles that contain a single scene. Gutters are the space between those panels. Dialogue balloons are used for communication between characters as though they're having conversations. Thought balloons is the same idea, except it's only a character's thoughts that are inside thought balloons. Captions contain information about a scene or character. And the ever-famous sound effects are visual sound clues: wonk, pow, zap, bam. They're often fun to play with. A graphic novel page looks like this. Here's an example of a caption. A panel, again, is the place where the drawing is placed. In between the panels, we have gutters. They're the spaces between each panel to separate them. Thought balloons are the character's thoughts. Sound effects are the sounds a character or the scene may be making. And dialogue balloons are the words that a character is saying out loud. Please make sure you know these terms and you understand them. The next question then is how to read a graphic novel. Well, a graphic novel is read just like a regular novel, from top to bottom and left to right. So you would start at the left and move to the right and go from top to bottom. Remember this rule: top to bottom and left to right. Because once we have dialogue balloons, it becomes a little tricky. Dialogue balloons are read left to right or top to bottom as is appropriate. You can see top to bottom rule first and then left to right. So number one would be this top part of the bubble. Second would be right underneath that. And third would be at the very bottom of that bubble. Although it looks like this bubble would be read together, it's not. So keep your top to bottom and left to right rule in play. Same thing on slide. This example here on this panel, which is a little bit easier because it doesn't seem like it continues. So top to bottom. However, sometimes the deeper the graphic novel, it can get a little more complicated. Stick with your rule. Top to bottom, left to right. So we're going to read the left panel first because it's the first panel. We're going to read all of the information in the left panel, and then we're going to go on the right side from top to bottom. And if you need a visual of how to do that, here you are. Left panel first, all of the information in the left, and then the right side, top to bottom. Same thing with dialogue balloons. So your assessment following this lesson is to read the story Little Red Riding Hood. There's a PDF file with it attached. You're going to then tell the story of Little Red Riding Hood using illustrations. You can draw stick figures if you're not so talented at drawing, such as myself, or if you're a little more detailed, you can certainly scan it out, draw, and upload it. Then you're going to illustrate it, and I want you to label captions, dialogue balloons, gutters, panels, sound effects, and thought balloons. Make sure you include one of each of these in your illustration. Once you include them, you need to label them. You have to have a caption, then label it caption so that I'm aware that you know what a caption is. Same thing with dialogue balloons. If you have a conversation between the big bad wolf and Little Red Riding Hood, please label it a dialogue balloon. Please label gutters, panels, any sound effects you might use, and any thought balloons if the wolf or Red Riding Hood are having some thoughts. Enjoy.